Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 368 of Geeks in Space. I am Rob Commander Taco Malda. And
Did
today,
your voice just break?
It might have. I'm going through a second puberty. With me today, four geeks of great courage and morality. Would you like to introduce yourselves, gentlemen?
I'm Jeff Bates, and I think you should write that intro before we get on the air.
Are you questioning the courage or the morality?
I could go either way on this one, or both.
I'm combining the courage and morality into merge or chorality.
Chorality.
And I'm Nate.
Go ahead, Rob. I'm Rob Roseboom, and I'm currently on my fifth puberty.
Keep coming.
This is that like the one that sticks?
Pretty soon, my voice will be so low that I can only speak to marine animals.
And your entire
you should see the places where you get hair now.
I'll have hair on my hair.
Maybe this explains like those old people who get like a third set of teeth, in their 90s. I'm Chris DeBona. I'm both courageous and immoral, or amoral person. One of those things.
Whichever one.
Amoral person.
I am a moral person. Yeah.
Well, the first thing that I had is after the most recent set of shootings were linked to 8chan. 8chan was shut down.
Yep. Good fucking riddance. Oh, sorry. Good riddance.
Yeah. Well, you mean the part where Cloudflare kind of acknowledges the fact that they're not just a neutral piece of maybe value-add infrastructure, but are critically necessary and does perhaps have some degree of responsibility?
No, it was better than that. Their provider of their IP addresses and DNS also was basically told by their peers, if you keep hosting this site, we're going to cut off your entire range. And it's just like, we're just going to put you out of business. And it's great. I'm totally for this. None of these people should be able to work again. They should die in test state on, and
don't hold back.
Yeah. How do you really feel?
Screw these people.
Would you say that you wish a ninth puberty on these people? Is that
I really think that they should be forced into, be all right. Yeah.
I applaud the effort. I'm not sure that I would classify it as moral, but definitely courageous.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, we've been at the center of these free speech arguments on the web for 23 years, and it's like, you know what? There is actually a limit, and you don't want to be part of these. You don't want to be the sysadmin for the shoot up a school community. It's like, you know what? It's okay to cut these people off. What's that?
We have been. I mean, we spent years with people using our forums for, speaking, of talking about doing terrible things. And obviously we didn't have anybody like directly go out and do it. But I mean, there's some pretty clear hereditary here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. No, I mean, because we didn't let it happen on Slashdot. It went to digging Reddit for a while, then it went to 4chan, then it went to 8chan. I mean, 16chan, I guess is next, right?
There's many powers of two to chan about.
Well, yeah, and sure,
I mean, that might even be the point, right? I mean, the 16chan is, just a 4-square click away.
I wonder if I'm sure somebody's registered it, right?
Oh,
I would imagine
I'm not going to go to it. Screw those guys.
Although you could play the meta game and buy the domain of Powers of 2chan, and then you have all of the chans possible.
I used to buy dumb domain names on a whim. Like I bought Uber Coyote. Was probably the last domain I bought that was really just silly, and I let it expire. So all of our 4 listeners, Uber Coyote is available.
I only bought that one stupid domain name, but that worked out.
Yeah, the /.org.
The stuttering domain.
I'm talking too much. You guys talk.
There was another thing that cracked me up that I put on there. It's Google just revealed brilliantly simple trick to destroy telemarketers, and the headline is a bit dramatic, but essentially it's connecting all telemarketers to Google Assistant and making them talk to Google Assistant to justify their phone call before their phone call gets through, which of course means the next thing that they're going to do is script responses to Google Assistant, but at least there's a centralized choke point at that point to, like let the arms race occur on somebody else's platform and not my cell phone.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of great. You tap call screen and it goes, hello, you're reaching a Google subscriber who doesn't know who the hell you are. And they'll usually hang up, in my experience, or they'll start seeing, Chinese being translated into English or something.
Yeah.
Here's like end call, block.
The Google Assistant phone screen on my phone has been a godsend for I probably get 4 to 6 spam calls per day. And now I never, ever have to answer them.
Let me see how many I have.
So I get like 10 a day, maybe 15 a day. My voicemail box is entirely...
Is that because you're answering your in-laws' phones now? And
we got a lot of family members forwarding to our phones at this point. There's a lot of old.
So does Siri help screen your calls for you?
Siri don't do shit.
So it's consistent.
Siri's in with the telemarketers.
Trying to get that call volume up.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
No, I mean, my problem is that because between my wife and I, we're answering phones for a few other people with medical issues. We are answering phones that we would otherwise not wish to answer. But I also have a pretty terrible habit of trying to screw with telemarketers, which I have done on more than one occasion. My personal favorite being the 45 straight minutes that I wasted while on my commute for a dude who wanted to sell me car insurance or a car extended warranty.
At some point we actually should write down a chronology for Kathy Hunter and the saga of Mr. Rozenblatz and where he is and how many years we were able to keep that poor woman calling back.
What are you talking about?
I was just gonna.
You've never heard this?
Kathy,
I might have. I'm old. I forget.
Okay, here's what I want to say. I got a really cool documentary on ANSI Art that you guys should actually watch. It's it's like 20 minutes long. It's short. It's cool. Yeah. We have 20 minutes left. Let's tell the story of Kathy Hunter.
Do it. It's August.
All right. It's sometime. This is like 2002. No. This is when we were still in the. Well, we were. Yeah,
this
probably
the dance studio.
5. Yeah, we were in the dance studio now, and I got a call from this woman who is selling Who's Who in American business.
Oh, that scam!
Yeah.
And
you had filled out the paperwork.
Yeah,
I think somebody else filled out the paperwork first as a joke because we used Rob Rozenblatz as a joke name.
Yes, right. I filled out the paperwork.
We had been talking about how people cannot say my last name, Roseboom, because there's a Z instead of an S in it. So people call me Rozenblatz, all kinds of weird stuff. So Jeff filled out the paperwork for Robert Rozenblatz.
He was an executive working on space-based organic lasers.
Right.
But you filled this out on some random website. It wasn't the Who's Who.
No, it was the Who's Who in American business. Because that was their whole
I thought it was a joke that got routed somehow.
Well, it was a joke we were playing on people.
That's true.
And then she started calling, which I think is probably the natural segue to our dear Mr. Rozenblatz here.
Can you spell Rozenblatz? I'm Googling for this stuff.
Rozenblatz. Rozenblatz.
The classic spelling of Rozenblatz. Okay.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
The traditional.
So this poor woman was assigned. She was assigned our, case or whatever, and she began calling to see if Mr. Rozenblatz was interested in joining.
There's one important piece of backstory here. There's an important piece of backstory here, which is that you were generally answering time, and you had a pretty long habit of putting telemarketers on infinite hold.
Well, sure, because, that's what you do. So
it was a hard time.
Right. So this poor woman, Kathy Hunter, who, well, we came later to know her name because we had such a close personal relationship with her, would call asking for Mr. Rozenblatz, and I was Mr. Rozenblatz's assistant, and we would, have all sorts of different excuses why Mr. Rozenblatz could not come to the phone, but he was very interested in becoming part of Who's Who. So it ranged from things to like he was often in the executive mezzanine, and he couldn't be disturbed while he was up there.
I think that was mine. That was my wording.
Like he spent
lab.
2 weeks. He spent 2 weeks out for Arbor Day because he was a fan of trees and really believed they were the future and yada yada yada.
You're missing another good part, which is that the reason that this started, you didn't talk to most of the telemarketers, but you talked to Kathy Hunter because she stayed on hold for like 45 minutes. And
she was in it to win it. Yeah, so I figured she deserved this.
Did she get to talk to Rob Rozenblatz?
She never got to talk to Mr. Rozenblatz.
That's not true. She got to him once.
But he had to go right away.
I know, because she called. Their appointment was for 10:30, and she called at 10:33.
I know. I'm telling the story.
All right, Mulda needs to stop interrupting.
So we ended up giving her the fax machine phone number, and we'd have Room answer the fax machine saying it was the lab, because Rozenblatz would be down in the lab overseeing things personally quite often. We set up meetings with Rozenblatz, but if she called even a minute early or late, we would say, "I'm sorry, this is your appointment was at 11:05 and it's 11:06, and he's moved on to other business." On and on and on. Every excuse you could imagine. This woman would dutifully call 2 or 3 times a week. We started putting it on a calendar, and we almost got her to call for an entire year. We made it to 11 months and 2 weeks before Kathy Hunter was finally, one day she says, "Mr. Rozenblatz isn't really going to ever talk to me, is he?" And I'm like, "No, Kathy, don't say that." I'm sure. Well, because at this point we wanted to keep her going for a year, because Rob had an email chain going with this guy for a year in which he would only respond with one word. And this guy would send back a response like pages long, and then he'd send back a one-word response. And that went on for over a year. That was like 14 months or something.
Sure.
So at this point, it was a contest between Kathy Hunter and this wacko that kept emailing Rob to see how long we could keep our, perspective entertainment on the line.
Okay, I have a question. Did you ever note the area code she was coming from?
She was calling from New York.
New York City. Okay.
Yeah.
New York.
I thought it was Pennsylvania.
No, New York. I also looked into how much it actually was to get to become part of Who's Who, because at some point I thought, well, Kathy certainly has earned this. Maybe we should gather together a little pool and join, because I also made clear, like, I asked about what we would get, and one of the things that you could get was a plaque with your picture and your achievements listed on it. And I said, but does it have to be a picture of Mr. Rozenblatz, or can we use a picture of anything? And she said, no, any image is fine. So I was like, all right, now we're working with something. I'm in. I'm thinking of all the different things we could have on the picture, all the different achievements and awards.
As a Slashdot moderator of that era, you had access to some pictures that were, truly worthy, plaque worthy.
But it turned out it was $500 to join, and it wasn't $500 funny.
No,
it was absolutely $50 funny, but not $500.
Yeah.
So let's see. Favorite bits of that included we gave her the phone number to the fax machine, and that was the lab. And she would call the fax machine and let it ring, and then she would call you back and say, "They're not. I got a fax machine." And then you would give her a different number, but it would be like Tim Vroom's number, and he wasn't there, so it would just ring and ring and ring. It's like they're not answering, and so we would have to invent stories about how there was a fire at the lab that day, so nobody's answering.
Yeah,
there were containment failures.
Yep.
There was prolonged sicknesses. There was all sorts of things.
My other favorite was at some point, it was on Martin Luther King Day. We told her that he was out marching. So that's the day that we realized that Rob Rozenblatz is African American.
I don't think that. I think you are making an assumption about Mr. Rozenblatz's ethical and moral stance.
Just because he took 2 weeks off for Arbor Day doesn't make him a tree, Rob Mulder.
I think that's the title of the episode. Just because he took 2 weeks off.
So yeah, Kathy Hunter, wherever you are out there, my dear, good work. Very tenacious.
Very.
I mean, should probably, learn to quit a little bit sooner. Certain things.
I mean, in all seriousness, I would estimate that she spent 30 plus hours on hold in our office.
I think that
because you would routinely, she would call, you would like tell her to hold, you'd put her on hold for 10 minutes, at which point we would all gather, have a cup of coffee, and discuss how best to mess with her. And
look at the light, wonder how much longer it will flash before she calls back.
So I've been looking at Kathy Hunter's online.
It's a tough job. It's a tough job.
If it helps, it's Kathy with a K because I got her name.
No, because there was a Kathy CATH as well, but who's the right age but wrong job. She was working for a savings bank while you were talking to her. I think this one I'm looking at right now is she looks like she's the right age. She does white papers for a channel strategy mail marketing group. I mean, that feels pretty standard.
In the right area.
Yeah, so
might have a love connection.
Are you going to dox Kathy Hunter on?
No, I'm not going to dox. I'm not even going to paste this stuff outside the host coordination.
No, but we should absolutely put together a catfish-like documentary where we go and hunt down Kathy Hunter.
We
explain to her what we were doing.
Finding Kathy. It could, honestly, it could win all the awards.
It could win the awards, especially when we end the short film with Kathy closing the door in our faces saying she has to go to the lab now.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we're laughing about it, but honestly, this is a great idea.
Yeah, it is a great idea. And I don't have any, I sad how we treated her, but also her job was kind of ripping people off. So I'm like, y'all's fair in love and war here, right?
Yeah.
And it'd be kind of cool to meet her and say, hey, so did people actually pay you? What was the ratio? We could like obscure her face and let her do, well, I would collect $4, or whatever. And end by giving her a plaque.
What her commission was. Like when she gets a sale, what was her commission? Because this woman put in perhaps a work week of her life.
Well, I would definitely say
maybe it's the kind of thing that you could do at home, while raising the kids up.
Totally.
So for a while, I thought that it was Kathy Hunter in Salt Lake City because that's filled with telemarketing scams organizations. But again, the timing didn't work out. She was working on Capitol Hill when she was scamming Robert Rosenblatt. Rob Rozenblatz.
Yeah.
Organic lasers? What, like bromide?
Organic space-based lasers.
Yep.
Yeah. Space-based lasers aren't a thing. All right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
Not until the groundbreaking work of Robert Rozenblatz.
Right. But it had enough weird buzzwords. Yeah. And also fit into we can't right now, the government's here going over the facility, and we're not even supposed to talk to anybody right now, so you have to call back tomorrow. Stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, my one sadness about that one is that it was probably 6 months in where you started marking on the calendar when she called.
Yeah.
And if we
You
had
a relationship with her.
Oh yeah, because she was calling 2 to 4 times a week. And then she would take a couple weeks off, and then she would call like 2 to 4 times a week for like a month, and then she'd take a couple weeks off again. This went on for almost a year, man. She called us probably 100 times.
Did you ever see the movie The Accountant with Ben Affleck?
Yes.
It's really good, right?
Yes, it is.
So I
Which one
think
is
she's
that?
a secret assassin, right? If we mapped her periods of working with Rob Rozenblatz with prominent murders, I'm just saying.
Well, wait. I think she might be an agent because she saw on the account organic space-based laser satellites, and that's why she was targeting Robert Rozenblatz.
She's a Russian troll
agent.
Yep.
This whole time.
But the good news is that because we thwarted her for so long, they had to go into, manipulating the elections. That was more effective, using social media to manipulate elections.
Yeah, that's the good news. Wait.
Once the organic space-based laser thing didn't pan out for them.
Yeah, that really upset Putin. He was like, "Where's my organic space-based lasers?"
So to summarize, the who's who of business is an international communist conspiracy that, when thwarted, led to Russian election tampering.
Right.
Yes.
And made their main agent is Kathy Hunter Killer. That's her full name.
Yeah. She was in the submarine corps before trying to rip off Rob Rozenblatz.
Yep.
This is kind of like that story about Jerry Ryan's nasty divorce leading to Barack Obama existing.
Wait,
Yes, exactly. Exactly like that.
Divorce. I don't make. I'm not creative. I don't make stuff like this up. Here, I'll find the article and I will paste it.
Are you sure
you
below. Didn't just take a bunch of nouns and make a sentence out of it? Because that's what that sounded like.
I am certain of it. Here.
It's probably going to be a major plot line in the new Picard show since 7 of 9 is on it.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that cool that she's on it? Anyway. There you go. Basically, she had a husband who was running for Senate at the same time as Barack Obama was. And he was doing fine until Jerry Ryan decided to divorce him because he tried to force her into some weird like group sex thing. And she's like, I'm not into that. And you're Republican. And so all of his votes fell away. Barack Obama took the Senate. Boom. President. Boom. 8 years of decent presidency.
So what you're saying is without Gene Roddenberry, we don't get to Barack Obama.
That's correct.
Good. I'm glad we've drawn this line.
I mean,
and it's interesting that
how much do you really credit like one event for the course
like a butterfly effect thing?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with that is there's a lot of other butterflies, right? Barack Obama married Michelle. He became a lawyer. He actually cared about the country and didn't want to just poop all over it like our current president. That sort of thing.
Whoa!
All because she didn't want to be 7 of 9.
Yep.
In real life.
No. She didn't want to be 7 of 9 in real life.
Right.
That's right. She was fine with being fictional 7 of 9.
But not in real life. Right.
Yeah. She didn't want to become part of a Borg collective of sex weirdos.
Yeah.
A Borg collection of sex weirdos.
It's the gray skin. That's the big thing. If they pink up a little bit, it'd be appealing.
You should have said that in a puberty voice. I don't know if they just pink up a little bit.
I don't think I've had enough puberties to understand this.
But
you know who has? Rob Rozenblatz.
Yep.
Rob Rozenblatz.
True.
Master of puberty.
He has to be working on his 8th puberty at least by now.
Sounds like Samuel L. Jackson, James Earl Jones, Morgan Freeman, one of those God voice types.
Yep.
In a world.
Yeah, in a world guy. Well, folks, we're wrapping up to 11:30. I'm glad we got the Rozenblatz story out.
Me too.
Yeah.
It feels good.
And I do kind of want to find Kathy Hunter now.
Yeah.
Kathy Hunter is one of our 4 listeners.
You can't hunt the hunter. That's
or you'll become the hunted.
Yeah.
Next time there's a slow news day, we can go through the reverse engineering your life guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, in retrospect, that was way scarier.
Yeah, that guy could have murdered you.
Yeah, I was completely unconcerned about that at the time.
I kind of feel that way too. I think I still have some of the hand scrawled letters that were sent to us care of, whatever it was called, OSDN, OSTG at that point. And I happened to go through it recently, was looking through it. I was like, if I got something like this now, I would almost certainly alert the authorities because it's crazy and violent.
We were, well, I don't know if it's that we were more naive or the internet was more naive at that time. I mean, literally now we look at people using 8chan to plan mass murders. Like, we didn't think that was a real thing 20 years ago.
Even when the guy shows up to the office with a giant bag and folders on how he was going to reverse engineer you.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
gentlemen
just weren't very bright.
No, I think that's the nature of being in your 20s.
Yeah.
You think you're indestructible.
So here's the problem. Now, whenever I hear the word Kathy Hunter, the words Kathy Hunter, the name Kathy Hunter, I'm going to be very suspicious. Like, I just found someone who honorees Brooks Smith and his brother Hunter Smith and his wife Kathy posed in front of their farm sign for the M.W. Smith Farms. And they're a dairy of distinction, which sounds to me like a who's who scam for dairy farms.
I think you're onto something.
Moo.
Why don't you sign up Robert Rozenblatz for consideration for dairy of distinction? And, and see who calls you. Then you'll know.
Kathy Hunter.
Perfect.
Gentlemen,
I'm going to click the button.
All right.
We're at the 11:30 mark, and I think you all have things to do.
I don't think she's the Kathy Hunter who died in the People's Temple in Guyana under Jim Jones. So,
was there a Kathy Hunter who died there?
A couple decades early.
And that was like 10 years before, so that didn't work.
You know what? I bet it's the same Kathy Hunter, and that is all just a freaking cover, so that it's a red herring.
The next episode, Chris's background is going to be all Polaroids and push pins and yarn. It all makes sense now.
It all makes sense. Pepe, what was it? Pedro? I don't remember the one from Sunny. It's always Sunny in Philadelphia. But,
and the twist is Kathy Hunter died in 1885.
She was a ghost the whole time.
She was a time traveler, time traveling scammer.
It's actually a music box come to life.
That's why she could hold for 45 minutes. Time means nothing to her.
Well, that's a side effect of the organic space laser. Nobody knew.
Pepe Silva is Kathy Hunter. Sorry.
Nobody knew that developing the organic space laser would lead to the discovery of time travel and communication with the dead.
Correction, Robert Rozenblatz knew.
Robert Rozenblatz, American hero.
Yep.
Gentlemen, I'm clicking the button now. Would you like to say your goodbyes?
Goodbye.
See you next time.
Farewell to all. This has been the weirdest episode of Geeks in Space, number 368. Do the things you do when you see a thing that you like or don't. We don't care. Bye.